This is Triple N. We're going straight to Kentucky for this developing story. Kirsty Cormick, are you there?
I am, Joan. It's been 48 hours since this all began. A community laid low with an unknown illness. A military perimeter set up almost overnight. Then the rumors of civilian confusion and bizarre activity within the zone. There are helicopters overhead, scientists in hazmat suits. This county has been split in two and folk are scared.
My daughter and my grandchildren are in there. I was staying at my fella's and I was going to go back, but the phones are still out. What's going on in there? What's so bad they can't even pick up the phone?
Well, further to that interview, Knox Telecommunications claim the lines are down for long-planned improvement works. Terrible timing or something more? You'll find out here on Triple N.
In the summer of 1993, the small town of Rosewood, Kentucky stands eerily silent, its streets abandoned and its homes left to decay. As an unknown outbreak ravages the Kentucky countryside, the once peaceful town becomes a haven for the undead. As citizens succumb to the fatal infection, their bodies turn cold as their decayed corpses shamble across the city streets. Their souls long gone from this world, leaving behind hollow beasts with a ravenous need to feed on human flesh. Amidst this desolation, one man remains, a lone figure navigating the remnants of a once thriving community. This is Raymond Harris. A military veteran with a disdain and distrust of authority, Raymond's unceremonious departure from enlistment came at the end of his time spent during the harrowing conflict in Somalia. The scars of war ran deep, often keeping him awake at night as flashes of horrid memories became too vivid to brush off as nothing more than a dream. While some of his neighbors evacuated north to Muldra, Raymond chose to stay behind and protect the one thing he had left in this world, his home. During the first few days of the outbreak, Raymond reinforced and barricaded his home. He held on to the hope that the shambling undead wouldn't make their way down to his home as it was on the outskirts of town. The relative seclusion of the area is what encouraged him to purchase a house in the small town nestled in the countryside. The less people he had to encounter, the better. Once the entry points to his home became secure, Raymond established an inventory of his food supply. Provided he stayed to himself and didn't wander too far from home, eventually the military would send aid and put an end to this hellish nightmare. At least he thought so, until news reports dismissed the event's severity as the military aimed at a cover-up. Raymond knew that not only would he be locked within the exclusion zone for the foreseeable future, but no help was coming to combat the undead.
Good morning, this is Triple N. The Knox Event Exclusion Zone is still in place. Officials remain silent on the impact of an outbreak. Described as non-lethal with symptoms of panic and confusion. Kirsty Cormick is in Kentucky.
A strange scene here south of Louisville. Roads blocked by military vehicles, barriers and fences once intended for use overseas, deployed around a no-go area deep inside Kentucky. And dead in the center? The small towns of Muldroff and West Point, and the bases and training facilities of the Army itself. I'm here in a camp of displaced families, and they're angry.
We just want to go home. That's all. Why can't we talk to them?
What's the worst thing they could do? Cut off the phone lines. Do they want us to panic?
Just let me talk to my son.
Military officials have told us to expect a full statement this afternoon. Until then, this is Kirsty Cormick for Triple N on the Knox event line.
Thank you, Kirsty. Now amidst angry scenes in Washington and a storm of Republican protest, we are expecting word from the President following crisis meetings with experts from the Center for Disease Control at the White House. More developments as they happen on Triple N.
Raymond became restless, locked behind the relative safety of his home. Rather than wait out the event, he decides to take what matters he can control into his own hands, scanning the home's surroundings for immediate threats. As he counts the Zeds around his home, he feels they are small enough in number to combat, their separation allowing him ample time to deal with them in a steady, methodic manner. As the skull of his first undead kill crunches under his boot, he pays little mind to the inhumane horror of his actions. Years of warfare have desensitized him, leaving him numb to the moral implications of necessary violence. After dispatching the immediate threats near his home, Raymond carefully makes his way north, hoping to engage his undead foes before they become a greater problem. Of all the necessary items he could find, Raymond chances upon a key to a truck. As he secures his neighbor's backyard, he notices a generator in their shed and makes a note of it on his map. Although he has no immediate use for it, it'll prove useful if the military decides to cut off electrical power. He finds an unlocked window and makes his way into his neighbor's kitchen. Before scouring for supplies, he ensured the home is safe by going from room to room, making sure the house is free of the dead. Once the home is secure, Raymond makes a note of any valuables. He snacks on a fresh lime as he claims some canned goods and books to help bypass any boredom back home. Noticing a truck out front, Raymond gives it a quick inspection to see if the key works, sadly turning up empty just as a small horde makes its way over to him. Upon arriving home, Raymond puts away his meager haul, changing over from his backpack to a duffel bag just as the news comes on.
This is Triple N. We're here with some breaking news. General McGrew has just finished speaking. Let's go over to the Knox event exclusion line.
Thank you, Joan. General John McGrew has confirmed panic and confusion inside the zone, with no confirmation of the violent scenes some claim to have witnessed, and still, no reasoning behind the communication blackout.
I am making this statement at 11 a.m. on the 14th of July, 1993. There are many rumors circulating, many falsehoods. This is an appeal for calm. I can confirm there has been an outbreak. The ailment is, as yet, unidentified. It is flu-like. It leads to panic. It leads to confusion. There is no evidence of fatalities within the exclusion zone. We are using judged and judicious force to maintain the border. Warning shots have been fired. No civilians have been harmed. We must ensure that this infection is not allowed to spread. I am in hourly contact with the President on this matter. The no-fly zone will remain in place for the foreseeable future. At this time, we will take no questions.
Are the General's responses enough for America? Those forced to stay in Army-issue tents around me, and those evacuated to the north seem to be saying no. Back to the studio.
Kirsty Cormick, there on the Knox event boundary. We'll be keeping you updated throughout the day on Triple N.
Becoming enraged at the carelessness of the military, Raymond prepares to head back out to vent his frustrations in a productive manner, just as a small group of Zeds can be heard just outside his door. A quick inspection of the house next door reveals the place is empty, later Raymond noticing the for sale sign at the end of the driveway. Continuing his slow push to secure the sector north of his home, he attempts to combat a small horde. Almost biting off more than he can chew, the onslaught of the relentless dead pushes him back south, but Raymond maintains his resolve, taking on the threat with relative ease. After trampling through some rose bushes, Raymond crawls through another window, entering another quiet home in search of supplies. As he starts to go through the belongings of his deceased neighbors, Raymond can't help but acknowledge that to some degree his acquisition could be viewed as theft. However, he rationalizes that the exclusion zone is now a battlefield. The rules of the old world have faded away, replaced by one: survival by any means necessary, no matter the cost. Luckily, he claims a radio tuned to the military's emergency broadcast station before heading home to drop off his haul. After he unpacks his things, Raymond washes up and cooks a pork chop for dinner. Another smoke to settle his nerves. He turns on the news for more background noise as he continues to read his book.
Judge Matt Haas, on Triple N, the voice of reason.
I've met General John McGrew many times. He is a fine man. When he says there have been no fatalities from the infection, he means it. That man's career has earned enough medals to block the noonday sun. He's no liar. This precautionary exclusion zone is there to protect us? I'm sorry for the people inside. Truly I am. Running a fever, feeling confused, being trapped. But this is clearly in the nation's interest, the greater good. I've heard a lot of people asking, why can't we know? Why can't the government just say, here's the problem? There's bravery in silence, folks. They're busy looking in on this. Let's call it a Knox event. They don't have time to look back out. They're relying on us to keep calm and have faith. I do have faith, and as an American, so should you. I've been Judge Matt Hass on Triple N.
That was Judge Matt Hass. Good evening. You're on Triple N. While we've been on air, a statement from the White House. The president has claimed he is understandably distressed by the Knox event.
This is a distressing time. The situation in Kentucky is unexpected and saddening. My first thoughts are with the friends and families of those within the zone. People have been separated, folk have been evacuated. I understand the difficulties facing us. However, I have faith in the fine people of the Center for Disease Control to get to the root of the panic and confusion within the exclusion zone. I have faith in our servicemen and women to fulfill their duties, and for General John McGrew to command them with the foresight and dedication he has shown throughout his exemplary career. It is a distressing time, America, but you are in safe hands.
More as it happens throughout the night on Triple N.
Deciding to push his luck, Raymond ventures out yet again, ensuring to silence the shamblers that wandered into his yard. Reaching the truck he found the key for, he sees it's not in the best condition, but thankfully is still functional, and drives it up the street, hoping to fill the bed with much-needed supplies. Although used to engaging in close quarters combat, he feels sad for the poor souls that have fallen to the mysterious outbreak. Raymond recognizes many faces from his trips into town, but reminds himself that they are no longer human. And the only cure for what has afflicted them is a quick second death. Grabbing an orange for a quick snack, he moves on to the next home. After a quick inspection yields no Zeds nearby, choosing to save the supplies for later. As sunlight gave way to a dim moonlight, darkness rested over Rosewood as Raymond continued pushing further into town. Hoping for a positive news update, he turned on the TV in what seemed to be a quiet home, just to be rudely interrupted by Zeds that followed him.
Good morning, this is Triple N. As the Knox event enters its 5th day, anger is at a boiling point. America demands answers. Reporting from Washington, Daniel Sinclair.
Republicans in the building behind me are in uproar today. Their problem? The do-nothing agenda of the president. To many, the president's address yesterday simply wasn't enough.
This is a distressing time. The situation in Kentucky is unexpected and saddening. My first thoughts are with the friends and families of those within the zone. People have been separated, folk have been evacuated. I understand the difficulties facing us. However, I have faith in the fine people of the Center for Disease Control to get to the root of the panic and confusion within the exclusion zone. I have faith in our servicemen and women to fulfill their duties, and for General John McGrew to command them with the foresight and dedication he has shown throughout his exemplary career. It is a distressing time, America, but you are in safe hands.
Critics of the administration point to at best an inability to share information, and at worst, a reluctance. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Daniel. Now, Triple N has received a statement overnight from the State Department. General John McGrew has apologized for a lack of clarity. He underlines that the unspecified outbreak is contained. Military health officials state that fatalities within the zone are not currently a concern. Later today, we've been promised a full and frank conversation, talking to one of the scientists operating on the boundary. More developments as they happen on Triple N.
Growing increasingly irritated at the misleading and untrue news reports, Raymond returned to his goal of pushing further into town, despite the encroaching darkness that enveloped the land. After an extremely close call, Raymond makes the snap decision to return home, leaving the dead to wander as he makes a hasty escape to the safety of his home. Stumbling in the dark, he nicked his arm on a tree branch. At this point, he realizes how stubborn he was acting, as he hadn't prepared any medical supplies for his short journey. The cut would have to wait until he was home. Raymond secures his front door with some wooden planks as he turns in for the night, hoping for a good night's rest to help reset his mental state.